48-hour art check, round 90.
That's right.
Right. 90 of these. We did 89 of these last year.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. That's nuts. And it's weird because I don't think we started at the beginning of the year. But,
no. I can't remember when we started. I mean, we could go check the video, but yeah, it was we did 3 a week with maybe 1 or 2 weeks exception where we did 2.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that adds up quick.
And then there's been a gap, so I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more on the check and the topic after. But it is a new year, and so we decided to take a little holiday break from the art check.
Yeah, but, it's 2019. Welcome to 2019.
I know, it's the future.
Oh man! So if you guys are watching this, make sure to share it so we can get some people in the chat. We're going to try to do a quicker one tonight, based on the what we have done, and then what we're planning on doing, and then we'll kind of jump into a longer one once we get kind of things rolling. But both of us are kind of in a state of work being crazy, so
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to jump in on progress, and we're covering almost a week and a half, so I think you'll have more to show than I do because I was not as diligent. But what have you gotten done?
Well, it's weird. We both predicted, I think, our productivity at the beginning of this. But so I finished this page. And then I finally pinned down, so you can check that out at quarterlystories.com. And then I finally pinned down the thumbnails for the next page. I've actually finished 2 rough pencils. So I actually did tonight's after I made this thumbnail. Mm-hmm. And then that little block of text you just saw is my script that I'm starting to write, because I figured out the basic story arc for what I'm going to do for the 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology #2, which I guess the theme is werewolves and unicorns, but it's actually just anything mythological. And so, so I feel like I've been pretty productive, and yet also managed to get, a nap here or there, hang out with family. And now I'm just trying to fight that not literal hangover, but it does feel like a hangover of just like having all this time off and then having to go back back to chaos. So
and it can be pretty crazy. We'll probably talk about that during challenges.
Yes.
For me, I didn't get as much done. My daughter asked for one thing for Christmas. She just wanted me to draw her as a Harry Potter character, so I did that, and then I kind of sketched this office monkey, which I will reference more in the challenges section. But that, and then I've been researching more of the characters that I'm doing for the anthology, and so there's a lot of research in there because I have upwards of 20 to 30 different mythological creatures that are going to be featured, or at least show up as elements in the story that I'm doing. And so there's a lot of, like, I want them to be as authentic as possible to the... My thing is I want to go as early as I possibly can to, like, the original thing, kind of like I did with the Tongue-Caught Sparrow. And so my vampires are not going to be Dracula. They're going to be pre-Dracula type of stuff. And so anyway, just doing as much research as I can without having that be kind of a rabbit hole.
Yeah. And it's a tough one because you have like kind of a world built, so it's gonna be hard. We were just talking before recording on like the challenge for both of us to condense something down to 4 pages. It's a hefty challenge. Like, I think for maybe the single strip guys that I know, that'd be like a breeze.
Right.
They're like 4 whole pages. That's crazy. But for me, I'm always intimidated by short form comics.
Right.
Because I'm a long form kind of person. by nature, just the way I talk. So it's a good practice. Ties into one of my not resolutions, but one of my goals for growth of trying to be more concise in the future. So it's a good practice in that.
Cool.
Yeah.
How about challenges?
Oh, well, that ties perfectly in. So one of my biggest challenges was trying to pin down what I was going to do because I wasn't super in love with the theme,
Uh-huh.
and I also like I can write fiction, but I do like writing autobio. And then I had this one story that's a relatively silly story that just kind of stuck, and I just decided to commit to it and do it as authentically and simply as possible. So we'll see how that ends up. And then the biggest challenge is right now is just getting back to work after a long break, and certain things I thought would be done weren't done, and so it's just playing catch up. Like my first 2 hours today were sorting through 250 emails, and I'm not exaggerating. That was the actual amount of emails. Um, and so like that's what happens when I'm gone for
Right.
like 3 days. So um yeah, but I did have a good holiday and stuff, but the challenge is just trying to kind of get back on to the grind and also carry momentum forward, because I do feel like we were both the last check, I feel like we were both kind of hitting kind of a low, like on the low part of the hill, and I feel like I'm starting to pedal up, and I don't want to lose momentum because like once you're kind of seeing some movement happen, you don't want to like slow down and trudge through. Matthew said in the chats he's glad we're back, and he's been missing the art check, but understands the break for the holidays. It's not understandable. We're not forgiven. We can't take breaks. We're not true 48-hour art checkers. No, thank you, Matthew. That's really cool, and it's good to have you back. It's fun to have Tim also is in the chats, and it's good to have you guys here. So let us know if you have any ideas or things you want to hear about in the chats.
Yeah.
All right. What about you?
Uh,
What are your challenges, sir?
I have several, so I'll try to do 10 seconds each. I went to a party last night for New Year's with my 9-year-old daughter, and it turned out to be a dance party. And 20 plus years ago, I used to be good at breakdancing, and she has heard stories and convinced me to do some breakdancing. I am in a lot of pain right now because I used to do a lot of aerial moves, and I tried those, and I'm much fatter and much older than I used to be. So uh, there's that one, and then I also have had some digestive issues, and so for Christmas I got an Instapot, and I have made my first batch of homemade yogurt,
Nice.
which was a little bit more time consuming than I thought. It takes about 35 hours to make. It's not like you have to be there the whole time, but there's that. And then just I'm moving offices, so if I were to bring this up again, in between semesters, I finally got moved into the rest of the department with the rest of my department, and in the same building where I teach. And so, like for the last 5 years, I've been like walking across campus. Like I've had an office in the gym next to the pool, and
Yeah.
and now I have like a real office with the rest of the department and everything. But I've been like moving everything over, and anyway, so
You
it's
touched
just
on that last time. So you completed the move because you were having to walk these items like
yeah.
uh,
I've packed up one or two boxes at a time, and then used my little cart that I used at the Comic-Con to like drag stuff across campus one at a time, and then I finished all that. So, and then I'm not allowed to touch the stuff. Like I can't touch my computer or my phone because IT has to do that because I don't know, for some reason. I guess if you want an English teacher or a history teacher to do tech stuff, it's going to cause problems. So they just kind of tell everybody, whether you know what you're doing or not, don't touch anything. And so I had to kind of wait on them. And then there was also like the guy that retired had a configuration in his office where there's like way more desk than I needed. So I had him like remove a bunch of the desks and move. Like I need a whiteboard. Like I can't function without a whiteboard. And so there wasn't room on the wall, so they had to remove shelves, and then that meant that they had to like fill in holes and paint and sand and
Oh
yeah. So anyway, yeah, there's all that. And Tim mentioned that me
no.
being injured with breakdancing is better than my prior complaints of spewing out of both ends. I haven't been sick for a while, so that's nice.
Yeah, that is. It's funny because I'm thinking about it. We were both sick at the
Right.
last art check, so yeah, it's nice not to be sick. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Um, I'll take like being delirious and kind of in a weird mood because of the break and then getting back to it over being sick any day.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, I'll tell everybody if this whole yogurt thing works out, because I mean, like for a gallon of milk that didn't cost $3, I just made four. No, I made 5 quarts. I think no, 5 pints of like Greek yogurt, which would
Dude,
normally cost like $3 to $6 a pint.
dude, that's where it's at.
So
I've been baking a lot of muffins over the break
yeah,
because it's like you save so much money just making stuff.
we are now going
Um,
to add a fourth component to the art check of what you have cooked or baked. In the just kidding.
exactly. Welcome to the 48-hour art check baking show.
the
We
great
just need like
the
Mary Berry and a
the
bunch of
Great
British
British
people.
art check.
The Great Brit. Oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea for maybe the 100th episode.
Right. Okay. So, what are your? I think plans might span the whole rest of the thing. Should we do a quick 30-second plans? I guess plans for the next 2 days. So,
Yeah.
what are your plans for the next 48 hours?
Nothing entirely crazy. So today is day 3 of the 100 days of making comics challenge for me. So obviously getting through to day 4 and day 5 would be good. And then I want to get the at least the first draft of the writing done by then for the short story. And
Yeah.
then I also would really like to get at least 2 more of those rough panels penciled for quarterly stories. So that's kind of where I'd like to be.
Cool. And Tim has a great idea. 48-hour bake check.
I love it.
So I think that could be taken a number of ways, which is always
Did you
good.
check the oven? All right.
Yeah. So for me, I don't even know. I finished moving into my office. I have like half of my books in 3 different places right now, and then I need to wrap up this research and start designing the main characters. And so that's before, kind of concurrently to designing the main characters. I need to like rough out like this 4-page story, because there's a lot of characters, and some of them are literally just going to be in like maybe 2 or 3 panels as background elements, and so I don't want to do like full character turnarounds for characters that I could just like draw a profile of and be done.
Yeah.
So I think prior to that, I'm like processing all this out loud. I think I need to do my rough thumbnails and story treatment before I design the characters.
That's actually, I think that's a
So
good plan.
yeah.
Um, something that well, maybe we can do this. We'll save some of this for the topic.
Okay.
So
Should
our topic,
should I jump into the podcast
yeah.
intro?
No, let's do it.
Okay, and then I'll let you introduce the topic.
Okay.
48-hour art check best of podcast. We go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. California time. We take the best conversations from that live show on YouTube and we put it here on this podcast. And this is the 90th episode that we've done that. And we are recording this right after New Year's. You're going to get this about a week later because we had a bunch of episodes. But today's topic is
Plans for 2019. And we're also going to mix in a little bit of catch up because we both just returned back from our Christmas breaks, respectively. And we, basically took a slight break from the art check. So I think we're gonna touch on some of the stuff that kind of occurred during those things or struggles and stuff like that, and plans within that as well. So I would say like we're both like kind of we're both going to be doing this anthology, right? Like this 100 Days of Making Comics anthology, book number 2, and we both have to come up with a 4-page short story for it that's a comic, and I think that's a little shorter than either of us are really comfortable with. So I was gonna actually just share one little thing from that kind of helped me. I don't know if it'll help you, but I found it a really easy way to kind of break down my story, because the story I'm doing is a pretty simple story. It's pretty much about my son Benjamin and his stuffed animal basically getting in an argument and learning how to share. That's
Awesome.
that's pretty much the plot. But I was trying to like break down like how am I going to tell this in like 4 pages, and it's a pretty simple action. So the first tip I'd say is like keep it simple, because comics at their best don't have a lot of text. I just reread Watchmen over the break, and I was just noticing that even though there's a lot of text in that for a comic, and it's an unusually like heavy paneled comic too, because I think they're 8 up.
They're 9. It's a 9-panel grid.
9-panel grid, and so it's like it's a lot of panels and a lot of type, and yet if you were to type that all on a page per page, it would still take maybe a paragraph.
Right.
So that's something I'd recommend. And then what helped me was to kind of just break it down to a simple story arc. So page 1, I'm touching the beginning. Page 2, I'm going to hit the middle. Page 3, I'm going to hit the climax. And then page 4, I'm going to do the end and the resolution. So I figured like if I break it down into just 4 acts of a story,
yeah,
because most simple story arcs like have a 4-part structure, I figured why not just break it down to structure per page. And then for me, like the way my brain works, that gives me the limitations to where I can then be creative and stuff like that. So
yeah,
so that helped me a lot.
And are we having 2-page turns or 1-page turn? Is it going to be single page spread, single page, or is it going to be 2 spreads?
It's just 2 spreads.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's going to be designed where everybody has 2 spreads, which is kind of nice. So it's like when you turn the page, they're kind of suggesting, and I think it's smart that we do a title,
mm-hmm.
and then at the end of the story have some kind of signifier saying that it's the end, so that like when people flip the page again, they're getting a totally new comic.
Right.
Which I think is kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, I like that.
That might have had something to do with why they broke it down into 4.
Yeah. I like Brian McDonald's idea of a story. He's got a story structure in Invisible Ink, where it's every day until one day, and because of that, and because of that, and because of that, until, and then every day after that. And so basically you have the norm, you have the thing that disrupts the norm, then you have a series of events that lead you to the change, and then you have the new normal.
Yeah.
And so you can stretch out or compress the number of and because of that's based on the amount of room that you have. And he's done an interview with not Ryan Oatley, Chris Oatley, and he said like you could tell Star Wars in 2 pages, but Han Solo wouldn't be in it. You know, and so the idea is like, you know, it's Luke's story, and you could tell that story very compressed, but the more that you spread it out, then the more and because of that you can add in.
Nice.
And so I've always really liked that. And I'm also doing a story that is going to rely pretty heavily on the unreliable narrator, partly because he's drunk at a pub on a floating giant turtle while he's telling it, but also because he is undead and was brought back weird and isn't all there anymore. And so it's Ishmael from Ahab. Captain Ahab has resurrected Ishmael. And if you know anything about Moby Dick, there's this very obscure part. There's this couple chapters that deals with this doubloon that Ahab nails to the masthead and says, whoever spots the white whale will get this doubloon. And everyone looks at it and sees themselves in the doubloon, and it reveals parts of their character, except Ishmael refuses to look at it. And so Ahab uses that doubloon to resurrect him, to use his luck, because he was the only surviving member of the crew when they originally fought the whale, and they're going after another giant narwhal in the story. And so there's going to be some elements of his visage tied to the doubloon that allow his memory to be suspect. Somehow that's going to be in the subtext. Because I don't have enough room to actually talk about it. But anyway, so those of you watching this, you now get some insight into that 4-page comic that of why Ishmael is unable to tell a straight story.
I love it. Okay, so obviously, like, short-term plans are what we went over in plans before we started this. A little bit longer is to obviously you probably want to get that 4-page thing done.
Yeah.
That's definitely something we want to get done, at least by the deadline, which I think is like April or something. And then outside of that, like, what are your kind of hopes or plans for this next year? It can be kind of across the board.
Yeah, I don't do New Year's resolutions for a number of reasons, and I also don't set goals. So my direction that I'm heading is that I found that I submitted to 2 major literary agents, and each one of them had like a 6-week waiting period. And I found I used that as kind of an excuse, and it's been way longer than 6 weeks, and I should have already submitted to 2 or 3 more. And so now my new plan is that I want to submit to a minimum of 10 to 12 literary agents this year,
Nice.
which means that I'll do a minimum of 1 a month, and that's some research, finding out the right fit, and then the little waiting period. And so I'd like to do that, and then I want to further my animation. I want to do some more animations, and so a lot of these illustrations that I've done, I'm thinking about breaking those up a bit and just giving them some slight movement, or doing something like I just did in the last couple of weeks, where I animate like kind of different parts of my YouTube channel and like an intro and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I want to push my animation a little bit. And then I have a story treatment for the next children's book, and I kind of put it off while I was working on a couple different things that I was pretty excited about. And so I'd like to start kind of exploring the visuals for that. And whether I tackle that full on or not, I'm not sure. But if I did, it would probably be in the last 6 months of the year. But if I did that, I would finish it within 6 months. And so depending on, because until I start exploring it visually, I'm not sure if it's really going to capture my attention or not. Because I like the idea, like it's kind of like this vague idea right now that I've scripted, but until I get a good characters design and kind of like a storytelling visual style, that's kind of what happened with Sparrow. Is I fell in love with the way I was telling that, which is kind of like multiplaning.
Yeah.
And this isn't going to be multiplaning. This is kind of a different thing. And so I'll play with that a little bit. And if I like that, then I'll jump in and I will complete that in 6 months.
I like it.
Yeah. So how about you? What are you looking at? What direction are you heading?
I think I'm gonna finish the first quarterly stories book, which is good, and I think that I'm going to pursue getting it out one way or another. So it's either going to be self-published or sent to a publisher and accepted by a publisher, but one way or another I hope to have it in print by the next year. And I'm in a similar boat. I don't like resolutions a lot, and I it just kind of feels like empty promises a lot of
Yeah.
them. But that I feel like I can actually say is a pretty heavy goal. or plan, because it's just the rate that I'm going. It looks like that's going to happen.
Well, and it's not so much a resolution as it is just a natural consequence of your habits. Like
Exactly.
you've built a habit that is
Yeah.
a daily practice, and the end result of that is that you're going to finish this book.
Yeah, like I'm not just waking up and going, I'm going to finish a graphic novel. I'm going to be a graphic novelist. It's like, no, I do the work and I've been doing the work. And so this is the fruit that's going to come. And I think it looks like it's going to arrive in in May, which I'm really excited about. So,
Yeah.
so that's definitely a plan. Um, I really plan after that's done, to really hit it hard with promotion, to kind of regrow my YouTube channel and put into practice some of the After Effects stuff I've been learning.
Yeah.
That's actually what I've been doing all day today, is importing and cleaning up videos that I thought would have been cleaned up already, of just products turning around to kind of input into an animation I built. Um, and I have about a week left to do it, to kind of get it done at my job. But I've been doing these really cool things for my job that look really slick and professional, and I realize I need to bring that to my own channel.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to do, but I also want to do it when I have content that I feel really heavily like I want to share. Not that I'm not sharing content now, but it's like I think that process of like promotion and getting a book made and like promoting a book and trying to get, press for books and stuff like that. I think that'll make for some more interesting stuff. I think that a lot of people may want to know, that isn't necessarily totally out there. Um, and so I think that'll be cool. So that's one goal. And then,
I feel like there's 100 days of animation in your future.
yeah, I really do like doing animation. I might, so that's another thing, is like I might try to do a short project between book one and book two, since I've spent at that point I'll have spent about 4.5 years on the comic, and at that point I just I think I'll need a little break outside of just promoting it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, while I'm doing promotion and trying to do conventions and stuff like that, I'm going to need something that I can work on in little chunks. Um, so that might actually be be in my future, because I have really started to fall in love with it, and it just kind of seems limitless, like what you can do.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of like every time I play with After Effects, I discover something new. Like now I'm doing a lot of video editing in there that I haven't done. And that's been fascinating, because I didn't realize like how much control you have over video and stuff like that. It's kind of like it. I do feel like it's like a Pandora's box I opened, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I definitely want to keep with the 48-hour art check, because I do feel like that has made a lot of progress, like on getting closer to kind of completing a bigger project. And then I think outside of that, I don't really want to get distracted with too many side projects outside of this like anthology. Like I really want to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just keeping healthy habits too. Like I really want to maintain working out, because it's been a positive. And if I can, I want to grow that to another level. And that's pretty much, I think that's pretty much it. But what's been fascinating about this last year is it's the first year where I've actively tried to kind of integrate working out as a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first year we started implementing 48-hour art check.
Yeah.
And so it's been really interesting to see some stuff happen. And some cool stuff has happened partially because of the viewers of this and the Artcasters, who like they got me over the top on Tapas. And so now I actually have subscribers enough to start earning ad revenue. So I definitely want to grow that too. So if you guys haven't, subscribe to my Tapas. And then I might play with webtoons a little bit once I'm caught up. My goal on Tapas is to just kind of go until I've caught up to where I am on the main website.
Mm.
And until that happens, I kind of want to keep Tapas as the primary focus because I don't want to split my audience too much, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to like tell people go to this website and subscribe and then go to this website and subscribe. It's just like too many places to go. But I have read a lot about webtoons. Oh, darn it. I was going to be brief. But the other thing I'm really kind of hoping to look into, and I can't guarantee it, but I definitely think Patreon might be something that I need to kind of start considering more seriously because it's just such a good source of revenue.
Yeah.
For artists. And the more I think about it, like most of what keeps me from it is fear, which to me is a signal that maybe that's something I should do. Because anytime you're doing something creatively, like for instance, what you just described, like doing, seeking out a rep a month.
Right.
That's a nerve-wracking prospect for most people. And most people would be prevented from doing that just from fear.
Right.
But the fear you get from that is usually it's like your mind's way of signaling like, hey, that might be a good direction to go because, depending. I mean, but yeah. So that's kind of a long-winded answer, but those are kind of some goals.
Yeah, and then another thing that we have that you mentioned that I didn't bring up just because it was assumed is the 48-hour art check. I also will be planning on continuing to do that. And one of the things that I'd like to say is if you are kind of evaluating your year, your quarter, or whatever, there's this arbitrary time that we've all agreed to be measured by. But if you're in a self-evaluation stage, consider doing an art check because it's super helpful. Like it's really helpful. Another thing that we're not quite ready to announce, but I can tease it here, is that I will be doing something. Josh is, I think you're fairly in on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then several other people are either in or on the fence or out. But a group of us will be starting a YouTube channel that will be very tutorial based, and I feel like that's going to be really helpful. I have done at this point in time upwards of I think 5 to 6 hours worth of tutorial content over the last couple years, spread over about 80 videos, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from students on what works and what doesn't work. Even just recently, in the last couple of weeks, I was teaching After Effects to a class that had learned Adobe Illustrator, and I had them watch some videos and stuff, and they all came back and they said, hey, this didn't make any sense at all. And so I was able to make a different video on the same subject, but with that audience in mind, and they all got the concept really well. And so I feel like, Josh, you've taught on the college level as well. Some of these other people that we're bringing in also have taught at the university level, and several of them that are coming are like at just decades of experience, and are amazing communicators. And so I feel like this channel is going to be a significant source for creativity and design, illustration, animation is kind of what we're focusing on. I'll be doing a lot of Illustrator and After Effects stuff, with a little bit of illustration and some Photoshop and Procreate and SketchUp. And Josh is going to bring a lot, and we've got some other people that are still on the fence. But the goal would be for me to produce one tutorial a week for that channel, and if we get 3 to 8 people, the ideal situation would be a new tutorial every day, indefinitely. And so,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and we'll probably launch with 2 or 3 tutorials a week is kind of what we're looking at. But my goal would be to get enough people on at a specific quality, of individual that will be able to do a new tutorial every day, and then break those up into playlists based on both the piece of software that we're talking about and the skill that we're teaching towards. So, for example, illustration would be, you can do that with a number of different software, but then also we can talk about the difference between vector and raster and stuff like that. And so I have a playlist that is now a couple years old, and I will be remaking that playlist on Adobe Illustrator, and it'll take you everything from, I don't know anything about Adobe Illustrator, I know zero, I know how to turn my computer on, to getting really, really proficient. That's the one I'm going to start with.
Nice.
And so I think that channel is going to be really fun. That was more of an announcement than a tease, but
yeah, and I think it's going to be cool because it can range from that to like showing you how to do like a portrait painting like traditionally.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be all over the place, and
right.
I think that's the cool thing, and the variety of people we'll be bringing in will bring a lot of variety in the tutorials as well. So I think, I'm pretty excited about that too.
Yeah, and one of the things I find is that YouTube, you have to search long and hard to find quality tutorials, and oftentimes it takes more time to find a video that makes sense than it does to watch the video itself. And so the goal of this would be that all of it is going to be like quality content, and it'll just be a big hub where after a few months there's going to be enough videos on there that you could really go and kind of search for anything and start to get down that road and stuff. And so
I think that's really exciting. I think I did want to mention, if you guys are watching live right now, and those of you in the chats and stuff like that, if you're around tomorrow at 9 o'clock, Cory will be joining Scott Strickland and myself on Artcasters, where we're going to have like a, usually it goes like 1 to 2 hours discussion on, like the 100 days of making comics. And I think we'll all probably be working a little bit on our hundreds or on our own personal projects and stuff. So definitely join us in that too, because, if you like the 48-hour art check, it's like our Monday 48-hour art check, except we missed Monday, so we're doing tomorrow, and it's going to be long. So I think that's pretty much it. I am curious too, just for everybody out there who's been following the 48-hour art check, if you didn't catch us this week, makes sense. We've been out for a little bit, so just leave it in the chats. But if not, sneak it in the chats or the comments, and just let us know a little bit of like your kind of plans for 2019. It doesn't have to be a huge list. I think the shorter the list, the more effective probably. But I am curious like what you guys kind of envision for 2019. I'm feeling more positive about this year. Like I feel like this last year was a very difficult year for multiple reasons, and I'm starting to kind of see like a light this year. And who knows? I mean, maybe when we wrap it up, but I do feel like that discussion we had about momentum, I feel like we're on that up part, and I think this is going to be a year with some pretty big hills, which is kind of exciting. So
for sure. So if you want to check out Josh's stuff, you can go to quarterlystories.com. Make sure to go to tapas.io and search for Quarterly Stories, and subscribe if you haven't already, to check out that story will be finishing soon. So make sure that you are subscribed to Josh on whatever social media you like to subscribe, so that you can get notified, because he will be publishing, kickstarting, doing something along those lines in the near future, and so keep track of that. You can check out my stuff at CoryKerr.com. I had some people reach out to me, and we had a good conversation today based on the work that they saw on my site, and they want to hire me to do some stuff. So that was kind of fun. Nice to see that the site is doing what it needs to do. And you can go check that out at CoryKerr.com if you want to subscribe to my email newsletter, which I should probably plan on. That should probably be one of the things I do, is that newsletter more. You can always go to CoryKerr.com /email and sign up there.
Oh, I've got one more thing.
Okay.
Um, so I did want to mention this is day 3 of the 100 Days of Making Comics. I've finished 3 days so far, and I'll be doing check-ins mixed in with the 48-hour art check. So every 3 days, I'll let you know my progress on the 100 days. But day 3 is done, so boom.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right. So we'll catch you guys later. Oh, I do want to point out, where's that button? Tim in the chat is going to finish his degree this year, and he also mentioned earlier that he has the few pages drafted for a children's book that he's working on, and he showed me those. I think it's a really cool concept about this guy that lives in this lighthouse and stuff, and it's gonna be pretty cool. So that's good to hear. Good to hear that you're working on your degree and going to finish that up. So that's awesome.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, that's way cool. So thanks for everybody, Sasha and Tim and Matt and everybody who showed up in the chat. And we'll see you guys in a couple days. We are back to our Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule starting tonight. And so join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. California time. Subscribe to me, subscribe to Josh to get notified, ring that bell, all that jazz, and we'll see you tomorrow. Is that your channel or Scott's channel?
I don't remember, so you guys will just have to follow me on Facebook. Let me know.
We'll announce it on Facebook.
Or Cory. You'll see it.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Bye.